What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Dream Chasers Ground Zero. Today, I have with us none other than the Adam Carswell. Adam, would you just mind, giving a little general background for those of us those that may not necessarily know you yet? If they're plugged into this platform, they definitely should by now, given that it is essentially your entire brand. But we're just going to kind of ignore that for the time being. Go ahead and just give a brief background on yourself, and then we'll go ahead and dive into what we like to call your personal ground zero moment.
Yeah, Aaron, honored to be here. Grateful to be here. I'd say, you said it's my brand, but quite frankly, it's not my brand anymore. It's our brand. We got some amazing podcasters on this channel now, and on this platform. And it's very, until you hit record just now, it didn't hit me, but I'm like, man, look at what we've created here. This is so cool. I'm like coming back on my own show as a guest on like a different show. It's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's a really cool feeling that it's just hitting me. So it's been a real privilege and again, honor getting to know you, watching you grow over, the past year and a half, really. It's just very impressive. So thank you for all that you do for this channel, for our community, for the people in your circle. I was just at Westminster really probably only like 2 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and you are like the podcasting kid on campus. And I remember talking to you about that as if like, maybe that would happen one day, and it has. It was really cool. So just thank you for all the hard work that you put in, and happy to take this interview to the next level, as we like to say. Oh, I didn't give a background on myself either. I think you did ask about that, but long story short, just a kid from Cleveland, Painesville, Ohio, to be specific. Had some pretty incredible life experiences and journeys, valleys and mountains, and we're going to dive into that here today. But from Cleveland, lived all over North America. Currently live in Newfoundland, Canada, with my wife, and we are borderline digital nomads. Got a few cool places in the books here for the next few months, and just going to continue to live that life. So yeah, Aaron, thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. I'm really looking forward to diving into the origins of everything today. I'm really excited to hear a little bit more from your perspective than we have. Obviously, I know my own. And then, diving into a story that I don't think I've heard yet or asked you about, but partially because I was saving it for this specific occasion. I want to hear about what you consider your personal ground zero moment and really what that has kind of taught you to get to where you are now.
Yeah, I love this question, and especially the way that you do it when you bring other people on the show, guys. If you just go through and listen to Aaron's body of work, he just he dives straight into it better than I do, to be honest. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I actually have two, and I'm sure I actually have more than that, but two that I'd like to share. The first one being actually somewhere between the age of 18 and 19, between my freshman and sophomore year of college at Westminster. And I think, growing up, my parents raised us very well. My mom was all about just making sure her babies were the smartest ones in the classroom. And maybe we weren't the top smartest, but we did very well, I'd say, up until for me, 8th grade. And then high school, I started slacking off and started like smoking weed and just like trying to be a cool kid and just not focus on what was important. Get to Westminster, a lot of that kind of overlapped into my freshman year. Had a great first year as far as athletics were concerned, but the party life, surprise, surprise for any freshman, was a little bit too much for me. And I think I finished the first semester with probably close to like a 2.0 GPA. And my parents were, first of all, the 2.0 was like barely good enough to even be eligible for sports. And second of all, my parents like, what are you doing? We're not sending you back there if this is how you're gonna live. And maybe they were just threatening me, but it was a really good threat because I thought, maybe they were serious. But I was like, dang, I gotta change something between this freshman year and sophomore year, or else I'm not going back to West Mini. And I really obviously want to go back, and if I didn't, then we might not be on this call. So I'd say I remember the day, May 18th, 2010. Was the day that I just made a decision like, hey, I'm just going to stop living this selfish lifestyle. Because that's really what it came down to, is I was prioritizing having fun in my own preferred way over what was best for not only me, but the people around me. So that was the day I made the decision. And then shortly after that, my brother and a good friend of mine, shout out to Johnny Caldwell, started making YouTube videos that summer. They were like cover music videos to like songs that were popular. At least we kind of cracked the code, especially YouTube 2010. This is before the YouTube Google days too, where it's just kind of like the wild, wild west. If you could figure out what song was going to be like the next big hit on the radio, and you made a music video for it, like, a few weeks before it got big, then you could get a lot of views. We just want to get like thousands of views. So that's what we did. We got, I don't even know, like we got thousands and thousands of views on our videos. And then, by the way, if you want to watch any of those videos, just, shoot me an email after the interview, because they're not public anymore, just because it's like those stupid videos in college that you don't want anyone to see. Well, yeah, whatever. Let me know if you want to watch them. They are funny, but they're not public. So anyways, but that was the first ground zero moment where I'm like, okay, I didn't think I was going back to Westminster, made a massive change. Also started going to the gym a lot that summer. It was the first time I really started getting in the weight room. I remember getting back to school, people saying, "Oh, Cars, like you look like you've been like putting on weight, like getting jacked." I'm like, man, that feels good to have people tell you like, you're in shape. So that was when I started, like, I'd say prioritizing just getting stuff done. Like I went from that to Dean's List, and won a bunch of like awards and stuff throughout the rest of my time at Westminster. Had a really good athletic career, and yeah, that's just like when I finally flipped the switch from being a kid to a man, I guess you could say. Still always feel like I'm on that journey of becoming a better man. And then the second time, I promise I'll keep this one shorter than the first ground zero, but the second ground zero, long story short, at about age 26, I had quit my W-2 job, which was for Sherwin-Williams, the paint company, to get into real estate full-time, because I want to pursue an entrepreneurial journey, because that's my calling. And I believe it's many of our calling that we just don't realize. But my first year as an entrepreneur, as a real estate agent in particular, I had a really good first year. And then year two looked like it was going to be just as good. And then unfortunate event after unfortunate event after unfortunate event kept unfolding until I got myself into a position where I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to make money next month. That was a ground zero. And, there's the cliche, your network is your net worth. And thankfully, I had some really just good friends and people in my corner that were able to catch me when I was falling, and gave me some opportunities to at least have a good enough year to not go broke. And things really haven't been the same ever since then. It's just been continuous growth. And I know you said growth is kind of the theme of today's interview. So happy to dive into either of those ground zeros a little bit more. But those are like the two moments that come to mind for me that really kind of changed everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, and it's so powerful just looking back on like humble beginnings, if you will. Like you really look where you come from sometimes and you're like, shit, that's like really where I used to be. Like, and then you're just sitting here now and you're like, clearly I'm in much better shoes than I was. But like, I'm honestly kind of kicking myself right now. I totally forgot to mention in the intro that today is a form of celebration. Today, we are celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Ground Zero. This is going to be the release of episode 52. April, it's up to you if you want to try to finagle that in there somewhere. If not, I totally don't blame you. Just leave it where it was.
Shout out to April Munson. She's behind the scenes to make this for you happen. She's
absolutely. Awesome. Absolutely. She is like my secret weapon, dude, especially lately. But anyway, coming back to center again here. As we spoke about before, growth, I feel like, is the big kind of word of the day, because I feel like that literally, like, ever since getting connected with you, obviously numerous events have come beyond that, but just ever since really that moment, I feel like for the past year and a half nonstop, I feel like that is what I've been doing, is just growing and learning, and just growing. So some of it I want to ask you from your perspective, how everything kind of came to be Dream Chasers Ground Zero. Like, no name kid, happened to be from your alma mater, reached out in a Zoom room, and that has kind of expanded into what we're doing now today. But I want to kind of get your take on how everything unfolded.
Yeah, love this. So I remember vaguely, but to a certain extent, I remember being in your shoes, Aaron, where professionals would come through at Westminster. And just getting the opportunity to reach out to them and connect with them. And I can't remember who or what, or whatever it was from Westminster that I connected with, but I do remember kind of being like you when someone would come through. It's like, hey, this is someone that I maybe would want to be like one day. I should probably just ask for their information or something. So when And I think, you got to keep in mind that this was kind of, you could say, like in the height of the pandemic, like it was a virtual networking event because no one was really doing in-person stuff. And out of, I don't know how many people attended that or were that I came into contact with that day, but I'd say somewhere between 50 to 100 people probably heard me speak. And to my knowledge, you were the only one that reached out. Maybe April reached out later. She'll be able to talk about that when we have her on next stream. I know she's mentioned it before, but just by you doing that, I was like, man, this kid, he reminds me of myself. And for all the youngins out there, I really don't know. I wish I could tell you. I don't know what the secret is besides just don't be afraid to reach out to someone that maybe you would want to be like one day. Like, just do it because you got nothing to lose. And that's just always that's literally how, we can go through my career a little bit here. That's literally how I've built my career, is just by identifying people that I want to be like and reaching out to them. And when you did that, Aaron, I was like, man, this is my guy. And I remember I did say a prayer not long after I met you. It was like, God, like, this is awesome. Please, send me more Aarons throughout the span of my career. And he has sent me more Aarons since then. So, and I wouldn't even say I'm, that religious of a guy, but I am definitely spiritual. So once you tap into a certain energy, it's it's game over. So thank you for kind of being the spark to the fire for me, is encouraging and bringing on younger entrepreneurs.
Hey, I mean, I guess we could both say that we kind of, that we both kind of sparked like I don't really know what to call it, but the connection alone obviously sparked a bunch of different things from both ends. And it's just been super cool to see how far we've come since then. And like I said, like a lot of people that are tuned into the show have definitely heard the story already. Like, total no-name kid just randomly reaches out in the middle of a Zoom room like we just talked about. And that has just expanded into something so much greater in numerous different opportunities, to the point that like, I can honestly tell you, like you said, like, especially being like a college student and stuff right now, like, what do you have to lose? That I feel like is the strongest point that you just made, just because like, I was at a point that I was just so hungry for something that I was finally able to respond to the urge of like what I actually needed to do, like actually taking action, actually making sure to do something that day. And that day it was reaching out to you in that Zoom room. But what I mean is just that, like, absolute worst case, you reach out to somebody and they either don't respond or you connect and it doesn't go the way you thought it would. But either way, you're going to learn something. And that's pretty much where I was, where like, the only wrong thing I can do here right now is not reach out. And like, another thing that I talk about on the show, frequently, is just how much more willing professionals in the working world are to actually help you than you realize. Like you just mentioned, like a lot of professionals out there see themselves in your shoes. When you reach out and you're transparent about where you are, where you want to be, they remember being in those shoes. Like, everybody can relate to starting out, regardless of where you are. And that's one of the things I just love about the message that we share here. Everybody has a ground zero. Everybody remembers how they felt at that time. And that's what we use as common ground. That's where we bond. That's what we share. We share those things that, we don't necessarily talk about openly, but at the same time, like, this is where we bring that together and we talk about what we really learned in those moments and how we lean into that uncomfortability and truly grow, like we talked about already.
Yeah,
So, yeah, go ahead.
I want to encourage everyone listening right now to, we're all on this journey, this life journey, and one of the superpowers or secrets to leveling yourself up faster is to always take time to pause and remember the moments where you didn't have what you have now. And I remember, I just look back to when I first met Aaron, looking at where he's at now and how charismatic this dude has become on camera and a microphone. And like, go back and listen to his first few interviews, and even our other podcasters on the Dream Chasers platform, Courtney Stone, Ben Malek. If you go back to even like their first or second interview compared to where they're at right now, or me, like whoever, just go back and listen. And it's so cool to see how far everyone has come. And like, I think the average age on this channel is probably about 24. And that's because I'm 30. If you skip me, it's like the average age is like 22. So it's a lot of fun. And hey, I got dogs too. It's a world of it's the virtual world we live in now. So it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, no, that is definitely something I've been talking about like a ton lately. And I even just had Ben on last week, so I can kind of refer to that a little bit as well. But just that, like, you don't realize how fast you're moving until you look back on it, like you just mentioned. Like until I was 10 episodes in, I didn't realize how far I'd come from episode one. Until I was a year in, I didn't realize how far I'd come from episode one. You know what I mean? So like it is those moments that you realize, like, holy cow, I actually am getting a lot better. I actually do feel a lot more confident on camera. I actually do have something to add to these conversations. I actually do have something that I want to share with people. All of a sudden, these things just miraculously start happening, but it doesn't come from anywhere if you never start. And that is where, like, where I'm saying, like, growth comes in so heavily today, because like you have to start your own snowball, if you will. Like you have to take that first step and start garnering that little bit of momentum. And like the universe, other people, everything kind of plugs in beyond that point that like can help you gain momentum, but you never start essentially rolling if you don't ever take that first step.
Yeah, and it's even reminding me, it's like it's just applicable to life. Recently my wife and I have been going through our phones and like just looking at pictures and videos of us like the first few months that we started hanging out, compared to where we are now. And I just recommend to everyone, whether it's your relationship, business, whatever, just take time to remember where you once were, because otherwise you'll just always be on that treadmill and always chasing the next carrot or whatever. Which, don't get me wrong, that's fun to do, but it's a lot more fun to do when you take that time to remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's so applicable, especially to people like my age right now. Like, I mean, I can think of multiple people right off the top of my head that, like, especially at college age, are just kind of looking for the quote unquote best job to make the most money because that's going to make them the most happy, whatever. They're falling into that paradigm already. And I feel like that is just, I don't really want to like go too far off on this, but like so many people are chasing money over the stuff that makes them happy. And it like honestly like sickens me in a way, but not trying to get into that too much. Like we're
It's
all
okay,
just worried
man.
about.
There's a reason why you're saying that. It's because it's the exact same way that I feel, and probably every other podcaster on this platform. So your energy is well accepted, and I'm sure we have plenty of college students listening right now. There's obviously exceptions here and there, but I think for the most part, I've gotten to a point where I would recommend this to any college students. Just remember, because you're going to get this degree worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, it really doesn't mean anything anymore. I'll be honest with you. You know, it shows that you know how to like stay committed and maybe get a job done, but it also shows that you know how to go and get a job. And whenever you get a job working for someone else, if they pay you, yeah, maybe over your career you'll make more money, but guess what? You also end up paying more in taxes. And you just never really find a way to get ahead. So for anyone that thinks college is the answer, I just highly, highly, highly recommend looking into the world of entrepreneurship, and in doing so, finding the one or two entrepreneurs that you want to emulate, reaching out to them and following their track instead of trying to do what your professor who's not an entrepreneur is teaching you to do. Sorry, all of my people that love college out there. I'd say I'm probably not your best friend.
Yeah, no, I mean, the direction I was just trying to go is that like we're all so worried about like trying to find what the better idea is rather than truly considering if that's actually going to make us happy, or the work that we're going to have to put in to achieve that goal is actually going to make us happy. We're worried about building the best diet plan or the best business when we haven't even really mastered the art of showing up. Like there's so many of us that like I can completely attest to this. Like I've been attracted to so many different things that like I would get excited about for 1 or 2 days and it just trails off. Like I've been there. But that's where like we have to first get good at showing up, at starting that thing and truly like starting to build that momentum. I was watching a video the other day. I think it was James Clear, I think was the speaker. And he was speaking on something that he called the 2-minute rule. And what essentially he described it as was like breaking down like whatever goal you have currently, however big or small, into like the first 2 minutes. And like he kind of told like a rather extreme example in this video, but like just bear with me. So the example that he gave was that a student of his would drive to the gym like every single day and for, I think he said it was like 6 weeks or something like that. And he could only stay at the gym for 5 minutes. And I know every single person out there right now is thinking that's an absolute waste of time. You're stupid. This is never going to work for me, whatever. But hold on. Okay. So what he was doing is that, like, obviously we all know he's not getting in shape from the half an exercise he got in the 5 minutes that he was at the gym. Like, we all know that. But what he was doing was he was getting comfortable showing up to the gym. He was getting comfortable going to the gym. He was getting used to that action. He was getting used to going to the gym. And most of us can at least relate to a habit or a hobby that we've struggled to kind of build because we can never get ourselves to start doing it. Whether, like, and a lot of us also recognize that, like, once, or at least me anyway, this, I'm not attesting to be like everyone else, but like a lot of us can relate to the point that, like, once you get through the first 5 minutes, you're totally fine, but you just cannot get yourself to start doing whatever that thing is. And like, to this point, I cannot emphasize enough that, like, implement this small little rule, break down whatever it is into, like, literally the first 2 minutes just to get yourself to start doing it. Do not weigh yourself down with unrealistic goals, expectations, margins, whatever. Do not do that. Literally read 5 pages, read 1 page, do 5 push-ups, do 1 push-up. I don't care what it is. Like, write 1 page, break it down. Like, do not try to, like we all, like, we're trying to go too fast. And like this, I get caught in all the time because, like, yes, there's a lot of things that I want to accomplish, but I hold myself back because I try to do things too fast. And I either burn out, or I try to do too much to the point that I don't like it, or whatever it is, because I'm trying to, gain too much traction at the same time. And like, I just end up kind of floundering, and then it never goes anywhere. But what I'm saying is, start small, kind of build that foundation, build the confidence, build the consistency to attack your then larger goals.
Yeah, yeah. That's really interesting. I've never heard of the 2-minute rule, but I really like it. And I, perfect example. I mean, there's a great phrase, and I might butcher the quote here a little bit, but the laws of physics or whatever it may be, everything is kind of a microcosm of something else. And I want to take what you were talking about. I went for a run this morning. Did not feel like going for it. Surprise. I mean, I feel like normally anyone who's working out, anyone out there who just like really like always can't wait to get to the gym first thing in the morning. I know for me, it's always like there's that 5 minutes. It's like, oh, wake up, here we go, start going. But then after 5 minutes, it's like, okay, boom, it's game on. And when you're done with the workout, it's like, hell yeah. I'm so happy I did that. So that's just like a thing of life. I don't know what else to say besides just do the 5 minutes and take it from there. So great story, Aaron. I'm gonna put that one in my back pocket.
Yeah, no, I actually really like the example that you gave too, because I mean, like, if you want to get up early and you want to go for a run or do kind of whatever that thing is, here right now, it's been snowing all day. It's freaking cold. Nobody wants to go out and run in the snow. You know what I mean? Like, I get that. But at the same time, what I'm saying is, like, the first step of that would be get out of bed, get out from under your covers, get out. Like, then you're going to wake up a little bit, whether that you start with brushing your teeth, whatever, like, you're going to wake up a little bit and you're going to say, well, now I'm up, I might as well do something. Well, then you go and get dressed. Well, then you're dressed and you're about to go out the door. Well, you're saying, your mind's still going, oh, I don't really want to do this, whatever. But now you're going, well, now I'm dressed, so I don't want to just get undressed. I got dressed for no reason. I might as well go out and do something. So then you go out and you do, a little bit. And I mean, and one of the things, like, I've heard from, like, other people is, like, if you do the first 5 minutes or whatever and you still don't feel up to it, okay, fine, but like, most of the time, once you kind of get through that first little sticking point, then you're fine. Once you do 5 minutes, you're like, all right, well, I can do 10. Once you do 10, you're like, all right, well, I can go around the block and then I can go home. Well, then you make a whole lap around the block and you're like, well, shoot, I can do another one. Like, you start to kind of fall in love with that little feeling, because you're doing that thing you're supposed to be doing. But,
right.
But you just fought however long to get yourself to actually start doing whatever that thing was. So I'm going to kind of leave that there. I don't want to talk about that too long, but
mind over matter. And I want to encourage everyone to the next interview to queue up on your whatever channel you're listening on. Go look at Jason Wright's interview on the Dream Chasers platform. This episode 197. He talks about mind over matter and how he almost died within the past like 3 months in the mountains. It's crazy. Mind over matter. Next question.
Love it. Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because, like, this is something that you fundamentally helped me with, but also like something that I know you can understand as well. Like being a fellow podcaster, getting into the podcasting world, like you kind of have to find a voice, find a message, find something that you want to share. And like, yes, in the beginning, like, especially if you're doing interviews, that kind of takes some of the load off of you because you can kind of just play on what they talk about. But in the world of just kind of, we'll say speaking or, content creation, anything of the sort, what kind of advice do you have for someone young getting into the space, or anything really, not even necessarily this space, but just someone who's really looking to know, like what is a voice? What is my voice? How do I find it? Something along those lines.
Step one, reach out to Aaron, Ben Malek, Courtney Stone, me, anyone on this channel, and ask for specific recommendations. I just think getting an actual human connection to get started can only serve you, and we all love what we do. So yeah, there's that. The second piece is like what Aaron was saying, just don't kill yourself. Version 1 is better than version none. And pressing record, going live, whatever it may be for the first time, it's nerve-wracking, right? But keep in mind, anyone that you see who's on camera has had that moment. And we may seem extroverted here, but I'm like, trust me, when I was younger, for example, probably up until about age like 12 or 13, I was more like a behind the scenes type of person. My brother and sister, my younger siblings, were like, they were in school musicals, on stage singing, like star of the show. And I just remember growing up in that phase of my life thinking to myself, like, man, I wish I could be them. I wish I could be the one like on stage, get people clapping for me or whatever. And it's like, man, but I would just play myself down. I'm like, yeah, just behind the scenes guy. Yeah, I don't know where it clicked. Honestly, there's a few moments, that I think back now at Westminster, and as I mentioned, that summer getting on camera where things started to change. But eventually, that version 1 came out, and you only get better the more that you do it. So I think if you're just getting started and you got like a bootstrap budget, YouTube is free, y'all. I would start on YouTube. I would do like 2-minute videos. You can either go live or just a walk and talk video, and you never have to be the smartest one in the room. You just have to be one chapter ahead of the majority of whoever you're going to be speaking to. So you could go and literally watch or listen to a podcast on a topic and then do a video recapping what you just learned. Like leverage other people's experience, or whatever it is comes to mind. If you just want to be goofy, like it doesn't matter. Just I'd say post consistently on YouTube to get started, because YouTube's like the ultimate evergreen beast that's out there. And just go from there. Like you got to just get that first rep under your belt and go from there. So you don't have to do YouTube either way. By the way, that's just like my recommendation, because if you look at the stats over the next 4 to 5 decades, probably not a better platform out there to just, if you post a video today, that video could go viral 10 years from now. There's no other platform that has something like that right now. So that's why I recommend YouTube. And yeah, again, just reach out to anyone who podcasts on this channel. Happy to get you started.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like one of the things that I can definitely add to that is there's plenty of people out there on YouTube right now making ridiculous money for doing stupid stuff. So if you just want to get on there and be goofy, somebody's proven that it works.
Right.
I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not going down into that too much. But as far as like finding your voice, I feel like for me, like you said, like you kind of have to reach out to someone and like get like an industry kind of perspective. So like that definitely helps for sure. And especially hearing from somebody who's done it. But for me, I feel like a lot of it was kind of like obviously hearing other people. I got tuned into podcasts. I heard about like what other people would talk about, different things like that, based on what your interests are. And you kind of start there, what I mean? See how other people talk about it, see what you agree with, see what you don't. I feel like one of the biggest things for me that really helped me kind of get like clear on what I wanted to talk about was I wrote down all the things that I essentially didn't want like to become, like that I didn't want out of my life, because like it's a lot easier to think of the things that give you like pain than it is to think of the things that give you joy for whatever reason. But I mean, I don't know the science on that. That's not me, but I've experienced it. That's all.
Yeah.
But I knew from day one that, I don't want to be an essentially non-existent father husband, brother, son, whatever, due to a job or due to anything of that sort. I don't want to be unhappy with my work because I'm not working on something that I'm truly passionate about. I don't want to struggle to get out of bed in the morning because I'm not excited to go attack whatever goals or whatever that I have set for that day. Like I don't, I, I'm trying not to go too far off into this, but like in listing out those things, my vision for what I wanted like just became like 10 times more clear. And it's just because it's totally counter. Yeah, I once again I don't know the smart word for it, but like it's totally backwards because like you write down everything you don't want, but that helps you realize what you do. And then I built my plan around that.
Yeah.
I recognized that I wanted to, have the freedom to spend time with my family, my wife, my kids, whatever. I wanted to be able to travel. I wanted to be able to live life on my own terms. So then I had to build around that and say, well, what can I do that gives me those capabilities? If you want to travel, odds are you kind of have to be able to work from wherever you are. So what can you do that way? If you want to have freedom to spend with your family, you probably can't be completely reliant on a 9-to-5 job. So that's where investing somehow comes in. Like, you just kind of have to plan that around, like you build a plan around that vision that you have, and then you start finding ways to accomplish those things that align with what you want to do. And really that brings me to where I am now. Like obviously we already talked about the story, but like it went from, I was initially invested in real estate. That took me into a Zoom room where Adam was speaking. I got hooked up with him, got involved in a podcast. Getting involved in that podcast helped me, with some stepping stones there to get to starting my own podcast. That led to now 52 awesome freaking interviews with a bunch of awesome freaking people that each and every one helped me learn something that I can apply to the rest of my life and now go on and use for the rest of my life. The podcast then led to my own YouTube channel. From there, I've now solidified through one of my interviews, a job post-graduation to get back into the world of real estate, learn some more there, and then eventually, hopefully start a company of my own. But the point is that each and every one of those stepping stones started with one choice, and don't make it more complicated than it has to be. Use what you know, carve out those steps to get to where you want to go. And it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. I sure as hell did not have it all figured out on day one. Let me tell you folks, this guy can attest to it, that I did not have it all figured out on day one. Like this is a vision that I've articulated over a year and a half, as I said, through 50 plus interviews, through even more conversations just with people about, what they wanted out of their life, how they were to get to that point. And then I was able to articulate that and create my own vision for what I wanted. So like I said, I've had plenty of outside help to assist me along that journey. But what I'm saying is it all started with this guy. And I didn't know that in the moment. He didn't know that in the moment, but yet here we are. And that all starts with one step. And really, like I said, that has blossomed into so much more since then. And like the biggest, we'll call it like a motto that I feel like I've started to envelope lately is, what if it turns out better than you could have imagined? And that is exactly what happened here. Like I was just reaching out to a guy in a Zoom room that knew more about real estate than I did. And I said, hey, I don't have a freaking clue what I'm talking about, but you clearly know more than me. Like, let's meet up and talk this out. And then he introduced me to 15 other people. And then, obviously we started working together and whatever. Like you guys know the story, but the point is it all starts with one step. And, you have to start somewhere. Start small and don't be afraid to get the help of others to guide you. Like there's no one out there successful right now that started completely on their own. So like another thing we talked about earlier, just lean into that uncomfortability, and that's where your growth starts.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to do my best to hammer home multiple things you said there. First one that stands out to me is how you kind of alluded to the situation where you didn't have it all figured out. And let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this interview right now and you're the type of person who feels like you need to have it all figured out and you need to have all your moves calculated and lined up before you ever take action, this show and this life is not for you. If you're interested in becoming anything similar to what Aaron or myself or anyone who's been on the show has become, you need to throw trying to control everything out of the door. And call it what you want, call it woo woo, but like you have to essentially follow your intuition and go the direction that you want to go, even though you don't know what's in the next chapter. If you can live life that way, it's very exciting. It can be scary at times. However, universe is going to catch you. If you have the right intentions and you're set out and you're focused, like the good things shall and will come. So don't be someone who just sits there and waits for the perfect time your whole life. Those are people who don't take action. I can't tell you, being in the world of, so we have a high ticket mastermind that Hunter Thompson and I run right now. It's $20,000 a year mastermind. The people who have massive success are the ones who don't sit there for 5 weeks, 5 months going, I don't know, should I spend it? Because like if you spend that much time thinking about it, that's 5 weeks or 5 months that you could have spent getting better. You just got to dive in. So take action. If you don't have it all figured out, you will figure it out by taking action. Version 1 is better than version none. I like how Aaron talked about how he was getting into real estate. It reminds me of my real estate journey, where once upon a time I thought that the only thing to real estate was HGTV. I mean, how can you blame any of us? Like, that's the only thing that's publicly marketed to the average American. Let me tell you right now, if you're someone who, when you hear real estate and you think houses, you have a lot more to learn that could highly benefit your life. So if you want to learn what there is to real estate besides just someone's house, go and listen to all 52 interviews that Aaron has done. 1, you'll get clarity on what I'm talking about. And 2, that's enough content for you to skip an entire college education. That's no understatement. If you go through every single interview that Aaron has done and reach out, as we've mentioned, this is my hack for you. Whether you're in college, high school, I don't care where you are in your life. If you want to hack your life to the next level, this is what you do. Go back and listen to every single interview Aaron's done. Reach out to every single person that he's interviewed, because they give their contact information. Say, hey, this is James. I just listened to your interview with Aaron Iler on Dream Chasers Ground Zero. Give a reference. Like, I love the part where you talked about blah, blah, blah. Would love to get 15 minutes of your time just to kind of pick your brain and get any recommendations for what I'm trying to do in my life. I'm focused on blah, blah, blah. If you can say that to 52 people, 1 out of those 52 is going to change your life, probably more. So press pause, go back 5 minutes or 10 minutes and listen to everything we just said, and then we'll meet you back here. Take notes.
All right, welcome back from going back for the last 10 minutes. No. Anyway, I feel like I really haven't even meant to kind of make this about my story, but like I relate so heavily, and like this being a 1-year culmination, like I just keep like thinking back to where I was, and like it's honestly insane, like how like fast it all happened, but how long ago it feels. And like the biggest thing for me, and honestly like half of where this brand even came from, and like this message and vision even came from, is like, in order for me to get to this point, like I had to essentially let go of everything that I thought I knew, and everything that I thought I wanted, and everything that I thought prior. And then we step into this new opportunity, like that, becomes ground zero. But that's because I was at ground zero. Like I was at my own personal version of rock freaking bottom. I didn't have anything. Like I had lost just about everything that I thought I cared about, aside from family.
Can you talk about the identity crisis that you went through? Because that's something that, especially being I guess you could say, former athlete, an old head, I definitely still feel like I can get out there and take anyone who wants to challenge me. But what you went through, from listening to your story, is something that, no matter if someone plays 1, 2, 3, or 4 years of college athletics, there comes a point in your life where as an athlete, where you are no longer maybe the athlete that everyone has known you as, and that catches a lot of athletes when they step into the world of professionalism. So I'm sorry I kind of cut you off there, but you were talking about your ground zero, and I just think your identity crisis that you went through is really powerful for those who have either been through it or don't realize that it might be around the corner for
them. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can go into it a little bit here. I don't want to take too much time on it. I know you got a hard stop here coming up. Might have to save a little bit of it for part 2. Surprise, guys. Anyway. Yeah, so essentially, I was a successful athlete coming out of high school, came to college looking to, continue doing so. We'll skip over most of that stuff. Long story short, it did not work out like I thought it would. And I mean, like from the time that I was probably in fourth grade, like basketball was essentially my life. Like that is what I did. That is what I identified as. If people ask what I did, I played basketball. I played basketball 11 months out of the year. Like that was likely 7 days a week. Like, and I say 11 months, but odds are I was playing that entire other one anyway. I just wasn't traveling tournaments or whatever. But anyway, like it's kind of funny. Like people literally on our college campus, I don't even know if people knew my name. And like, once again, I'm not trying to sound like braggadocious anyway here, but people knew me because I was the dude who did cool dunks and warm-ups at the basketball games. That is how people knew me. And I was that kid. Like, I don't even know if people knew my name at the time. But anyway.
I'm just a little bit envious because back in my day, dunking and warm-ups was illegal. You would get a technical foul for it. I think the year after I graduated is when they changed that. Like, you got to be kidding me. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, that's fine. That's so tragic. Like it was weird for me because it always was in high school. So it was like weird when I got up here, then like we were actually allowed to do it. But anyway, point being that like that's how people knew me. So that's how I knew me. And like I thought that was the same thing. And it's not, but little like I didn't know that at the time. So then like from there, I was like completely distraught. Like I thought I had like literally lost everything. I didn't have a freaking clue who I was outside of basketball. And like, I mean, straight up worst breakup of my life was from basketball, not a woman. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, dude. Like it was like a deep emotional loss. Like that was literally my love for the last 15 years. You know what I mean? So like, anyway, trying not to get caught up on that too much. Like, you just get to this point that like you are at your, like I said, personal version of rock bottom. And you're just at this point, like where eventually you do realize like, I have nothing to lose here. Like the friends I have around me right now, like they're great, but what are they really like? Are they really serving me in any way, shape or form? No. Like the content that I'm plugged into right now, watching people do a bunch of stupid stuff on Instagram. Am I really getting anything from this? No, but it distracts me from all my other stuff. I mean, and you just get to a point that you're like, you know what? You know, it's time for me to figure out what I actually want. I'm tired of feeling like this. Tired of focusing on, you know, what everybody else is doing. And then like, you just get to this point that like, it hits you because like, once you kind of like open yourself up to the universe, letting you know that like, now's the time, this is what you're going to go do. Like it's going to happen because you're going to get at this point. It's going to be 4 o'clock in the freaking morning some night that you're sitting there and you can't sleep and you don't know what in the world's going on, but you're mad because you can't sleep. And then that doesn't help, obviously, that, you know, you're angry. So then you can't sleep. But anyway, and then it's just going to hit you and it's going to be like, you know, oh my God. Like, and once again, like I said, like not all the pieces are going to be there at once. It's going to be one little hint that you're then going to be able to say, okay, I can run with that. Okay, I want to go learn about that. And then the next day you'll go check that out and you'll learn something else. And you know what I mean? That's where your snowball starts. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is that you're going to be completely blindsided with what you actually want from everything that you thought you did. And this is where really my story comes in, I guess, just because like I then opened myself up to everything else that came after that because I didn't hold on to anything from before. Like I loved all the dudes on the team. That was my family. I loved basketball. That was my life. I let go of like essentially both of those things. And I'm living at college, so I'm away from home too. Like, so like obviously they're only a phone call away, but at the same time, like this isn't exactly something mommy can save you from. Like also not trying to like offend anyone there. But
no, dude, that's actually that's relatable. And sometimes I do feel sad for the individuals who didn't get, you know, we never had a mommy or daddy to save us, you know. I know some individuals who have, and anyways, it's like those rock bottom moments hit you harder when you got to be the one to figure it out. So sorry, as soon as you said that, I'm like, dude, I know exactly what he's talking about.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like you finally get to that point that like you stop giving a crap about everything else essentially in the world, and you just get this sense of just tunnel vision on what it is that you want to do and you want to accomplish. And that in itself is like, that is entrepreneurship. Like, I don't even know what else to call it. Like that right there, that tunnel vision on you focusing, building for yourself is now going to skyrocket you for the rest of your life. Like that moment right there is where I decided like, okay, you know, I want to have certain freedoms, whatever. That took me to real estate. Boom. You already heard the rest of the story. From there, we're going. And like I said, it's been a year and a half. Like, and like Adam has strangely turned this into an interview of me. I don't know if anybody else has done that yet, but
It was a testimonial.
But like I said, like it's been a year and a half, and like the where I am now from where I was then is freaking profound. And I don't even know how else to like describe that to any of you guys. Like if anybody knows me, they know, but at the same time, like in a weird way, like if any of you have actually been plugged into the show this whole time, and if not, I encourage you to go back and read it. I'll tell you right now, the first ones are not as good, but it's just part of the journey. Anyway, like you learn a lot about me through the whole process, and you can also see the growth. And like you're never going to recognize it in the moment, but like we said in the very beginning, like when you look back on that, you can see just how far you've come, but you're never going to achieve that if you don't start now. So whatever that thing is, whatever you're putting off, go do it today. Like whether it's a little bit, whether it's a lot of it, I don't really care. Go do something and just start that ball rolling. Like you will start generating momentum, because watch, you do it today, you'll want to do it tomorrow too. You do it the last 2 days, you're going to want to do it the next day. And all of a sudden, like you're going to fall in love with the process. And that and all in of itself is the main thing there.
Totally. So you just reminded me, there's a lot of cross references in today's interview, guys. So I know we mentioned Jason Wright's interview earlier. I think there was another one. I said go back through and listen to all of Aaron's. One more to put on your list. It's called How to Change Your Life Through Communication. I want to say it's like, I was just looking here, I think it's episode 173, Dream Chasers 173. Especially for all my college listeners out there, but anyone who's looking to just transform where they're at now to where they want to go. It's again, another ultimate hack on how to change your life simply through just opening your mouth, talking to people, right? So check that out. And yeah, Aaron, there was something else you said there that it's slipping my mind now. So anyways, this has been awesome, and happy to hammer out any other final questions here as we tease into part 2 of the interview.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try to make this like the quickest wrap up ever, but like, and it's so hard because I feel like I have so much to say, like, especially with like the last year, like all being encapsulated in my head, I think like, all at the same time.
But we're due for a long format. So maybe that's something we'll do on Dream Chasers, kind of like the main Dream Chasers or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we'll set something up where we can just go for a while.
All right, yeah. I mean,
at the same time, I'm looking forward to what you got in store for like part 2 of this one. So I guess let's.
We got something good cooking. Anyway, like Adam, seriously, thank you so much. Like, I mean, I know I've said it a couple of times already today, but like me and any of the other entrepreneurs that are working with us now, like we literally would not be where we are without taking that first step, obviously, but at the same time getting connected with you. And I can like honestly attribute everything that I've learned, everything that I've done, every which way that I've grown over the last year and a half to getting connected with you. So like I seriously cannot thank you enough. And like that is like the shortest thank you with like the least possible words that like I literally have so much more to say, but I can't. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like seriously, thank you so much. Yeah. And then like this has honestly been special to me. I've been wanting to interview you for forever. The first time I thought about interviewing you was for episode 10. It's episode 52. I had to kind of hold myself back. Anyway, seriously, thank you so much. And I will try to leave it at that. Everybody get ready for part 2. We're going to rock it. We're going to bring April on, and we're going to dig into even more of this stuff. It's going to be a fun time. So look forward to that coming out. But until then, always remember, this is Dream Chasers Ground Zero, and there's nowhere to go from here but up. Thanks, guys.